By plane and by boat, a desperate push to evacuate Hurricane Dorian survivors. Today we were on the ground in the devastated community of Marsh Harbour, where very little remains intact.
The death toll, the official one, has now risen to 45, tragically expected to rise sharply. Meanwhile, relief workers try to get aid to those in desperate need. Anchor
Jay Cashmere is back from Marsh Harbour tonight in studio with what he witnessed on the island. Jay?
Michael Kelly, devastation doesn't even begin to describe it. It is raw and graphic, and we saw it firsthand today. Marsh Harbour is a skeleton of what it was, and tonight relief into this area can't come fast enough.
It doesn't take long on the ground in Marsh Harbour to realize the enormity of a natural disaster and the trauma it left behind.
Everything was just being plucked up out of the road and tossed around.
The horror of one night for local Bahamians still fresh as they emerge each day from ruins in search of anything that resembles normalcy. Marsh Harbour sits lifeless and powerless. Two-story structures were reduced to one story. Others are a shell of their own. Vegetation is brown, and boats are blown miles inland from what was their anchor at a marina.
We never expected, for something like this to ever happen to, especially to Abaco. For most people, I mean, it's just, it's a total, completely nightmare, I should say. I keep pinching myself, thinking I'm going to wake up.
The destruction is so widespread in Marsh Harbour, it's hard to identify the hardest hit areas. This is one of them. It's called the Mud. It was a former Haitian village, and you can see what's left. Absolutely nothing.
The economic hub of the Abaco is brought to a standstill, now idling in the intense heat where search and rescue teams comb through debris. People have been asked to simply leave, for there's nothing left. Private plane after private plane takes supplies in and survivors out, while the constant roar of rotors moves relief to affected areas. It is the beginning of an overwhelming effort that has no end date in sight. Yet for some, it's a sign of hope that tomorrow will be better than today.
Those of us who are able to, we should stay and help to rebuild. This is our home.
But the reality is Marsh Harbour is simply closed for business. People need to leave in order for that area to rebuild and that infrastructure to take root. When I say this town of Marsh Harbour is destroyed from one end to the other, nothing was left standing, which adds to the point of the rebuilding effort. A lot of military, U.S. military, were at Marsh Harbour Airport today, more than what were last week. And that is huge. That's important because each day more and more military personnel, more and more supplies are getting to those people in need.
You're probably one of the last journalists to go in there. They're starting to shut that part of it down, right?
We were told that the U.S. military any day now will really take over the airport in Marsh Harbour, and quite frankly, that's probably the best thing right now, just a solid support of operations there. Point A to point B to point C, they will know where to get that.
Jay, thank you for bringing us the first-hand perspective. It's so important as we hear people in our community saying they want to help, and you're giving them powerful reason to do just that.
A lot more content to come, too. Stay tuned.
That's right. Jay, thank you so much.